few months ago, I made a video about EVs that touched on robo-taxis, and with Tesla's recent robo-taxi event, I thought I'd make a quick follow-up video talking about what was announced. What we got was a presentation very light on details. Of the over 2-hour live stream, we only got 22 minutes of presentation, and some of that was an update on their robot future, where apparently robots will be our friends. Tesla announced that they're putting down a big bet on autonomous driving and robo-taxis. They announced a new robo-taxi car that they're calling the Cybercab that they expect to arrive in 2026. But given the Roadster they announced in 2017 was supposed to arrive by 2020 and it's still not here in 2024, then I'd take that with a big pinch of salt. The Cybercab seems to be a two-seater, which is a strange choice for a taxi. Maybe Tesla have determined that most trips don't have more than 2 people, but having the option of seating up to 4 people and their luggage might have been a better option. If it does have 4 seats, then the rear seats will have very cramped headroom and you'll need to get in through the front doors, which won't be ideal. As this is a robo-taxi, of course, there's no one in the car, and so there'll be no one to plug it in to have it recharged. So Tesla intend to solve that problem by inductive charging using a large version of the Qi chargers that we've all been using for our smartphones. This is well understood technology that's also being used by other companies. It means the car will be able to keep itself charged without human intervention, although that will mean Tesla needs to build out a whole load of inductive charging points, and they don't talk about when or where that will happen. They also show a brief clip of a robot vacuuming out a car that was dirty. It looks like a good idea, but that part will be hard and expensive to get right, and it's something people can do for very little, so I wouldn't expect the robot vacuum future to arrive anytime soon. They've also announced a larger robo-taxi, something Tesla are calling the RoboBin. This could stand a better chance of solving chronic city congestion, as it will allow seating for up to 20 people, although the one shown only had 14 seats, and it could be a viable replacement for a bus. It could also carry cargo and replace delivery vans. I would expect Tesla is also thinking of using this in the Boring Company's tunnels to increase the throughput of its subterranean taxi service that's currently operating to limited points in Las Vegas, but is supposed to be operating all over the downtown area in a few years. One big issue that I saw with the RoboBin is how low to the ground it runs. How is it going to handle speed bumps or potholes? Tesla claimed that this is how the final RoboBin will look, but unless it's got height adjustable suspension, then it's going to need some changes. Tesla estimated the cost of public transportation to be about $1 per mile when subsidies are factored in, although they didn't say how they arrived at that figure. They estimated their robo-taxis could deliver the same trips for about 20 cents per mile, and the RoboBin could make that maybe 5 cents a mile in the long run, of course. With Tesla expecting the Cybercab to cost less than $30,000 to buy, it makes them potentially a great investment opportunity. Tesla claimed that all of those Uber and Lyft drivers that are about to be made redundant could switch to managing a fleet of maybe 10 to 20 robo-taxis, so keeping them on the road if they need maintenance and making sure they're clean, and presumably there would be outside backers to help these people fund this fleet of cars. It all sounds like a great investment opportunity if you imagine running the vehicles all day long, but long term I don't see them making a lot of money. Imagine you bought a robo-taxi because over the life of the car you expect you could make a 20% return every year. You might be able to do that in the first year or two, but as robo-taxis become more popular, it will bring more and more money into the market, saturating the market with robo-taxis from Tesla and other companies. My first lesson in economics taught me that the supply-demand curve says that oversupply will mean that the price of fares will drop to the point where your return on the robo-taxi will be no more than other investments, maybe less than 5% a year. So don't expect to get rich off owning a fleet of cybercabs. The first robo-taxis may be coming as early as next year. Tesla will start trialling fully autonomous driving of their existing cars in Texas and California in 2025, and it will be possible to use your existing Tesla car as a robo-taxi before Tesla's Cybercab arrives. Tesla are pushing the robotaxi as a way of preventing congestion. Surprisingly, one clip that they showed was of an overcrowded underground or subway train. Given that that form of transportation is one of the most efficient ways of moving people, I'm not sure a cybercab that can hold only 2 people is going to do much to help on our already overcrowded roads. A 20-person Robobin might, as it improves on the way existing buses work. Imagine you want to go from work to home. With a bus, you need to walk to a bus stop, take a bus, maybe change to another bus, and then walk to your home. With a Robobin, it can find up to 20 people who are going roughly the same direction, meaning less walking and no changing of buses and potentially a shorter time to get home. Another of Tesla's claims was that robotaxis will give our city more green spaces because there's no need for car parks. The thinking is that today people own cars but use them very little. Tesla estimated 10 hours per week, so a lot of that time is spent in car parks. A robotaxi can be used 50 or even 100 hours every week, which means that although it needs a parking spot when it's not being used, fewer will be needed, as our robotaxi future will mean fewer cars will be in the world. But there might be fewer cars in the world, but it doesn't mean there'll be fewer cars on the road. In fact, you can argue that there will be more cars on the road. If I own a car, I might drive it from work to home and back again. The car is always parked close to where I am. If I use a robotaxi to do the same, then you've also got to factor in the extra time the car needs to get to you to pick you up. And that means more time a car will be on the road. This could mean roads get even more congested unless we start carpooling in Robobins. Of course, robotaxis may not take off simply because we don't want to ride in them. People are concerned about an autonomous computer driving them at fast speeds, even though it's been shown that current autonomous vehicles have fewer crashes than humans, so you're statistically less likely to be hurt in a robotaxi. But those facts aren't going to change people's minds, at least in the short term. The cost of a robotaxi ride might, or their availability on busy Saturday evenings trying to get you home from the centre of town. Maybe they'll just be accepted as normal once people have had the chance to use them and grow comfortable with the idea of a computer driving them around town. There's a lot to like about the robotaxi vision. It has the potential to lower transportation costs. I don't need to buy an expensive car or pay an expensive lease. I use a car when I need it, and that means that it should cost me less. And I realise that a lot of people who watch my channel are the last people who want to use a robotaxi. Many of you love to drive, as do I, and that won't change. You can still own your car and enjoy it on the road. But there are still concerns with robotaxis. It's not the utopian vision that Tesla make it out to be, and it could end up increasing congestion. The Robobin might help reduce the amount of congestion on the road though. Robotaxis could reduce the number of injuries and deaths on the road, and so could be a great improvement to our cities in the future. If you're interested, there's a link to a couple of my videos on the right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.